Flynn, wake up. We gotta open up, man. Come on, wake up. Wake up.
I understand.
John Barry here with another sizzling episode of Metro After Hours. I'm John. This is Flynn.
I think.
Yeah, recovering from a really painful concussion.
Cowardly attack.
From behind. From behind.
Cowardly
This
attack.
is Josh and I'm Gail.
Anyway.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, if you didn't see the last episode.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Anyway, in comic news, late-breaking comic news, by the way, Marvel's announced that the adventures of Spider-Girl will come to an end with the recently announced, I love this catchy title, Spider-Girl: The End! Wow.
I wonder what that's about.
That's deep, Marvel. Those bringing to an end the story of Mayday Parker. That really, I got to give Marvel credit. It began as a what if one-shot story, and then it spread into a series.
Well, it's not so much Marvel giving Marvel credit. It's just the fact that Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz were able to create an interesting Spider-Man book for a long time, and it slipped under Joey Quesada's radar. He woke up one morning and he's like, a continuity where Mary Jane and Peter are still married?
Wow.
Not on my watch.
I know, yeah.
That ain't gonna happen.
Drop the hammer on that right now.
Actually, he's right. It was a really fun series. If you read it,
it was
great.
the only good Spider-Man book we've had since
Well, it was
the 90s.
very consistent. Yeah, very consistent ever since it started. It's always had a certain number of people who are attached to it, subscriber-wise, regular customers who bought it. Yeah. And so we could always depend on it. Very dependable little book. Chug, chug, chug.
And DeFalco and
that.
friends, wrote some of the definitive Spider-Man stuff of the 80s, the definitive Spider-Man stuff period. I mean, they came up with the Hobgoblin. They helped, along with Jim Shooter, who was editor at the time, they helped come up with the Symbiote Saga, which later led to us getting Venom. So DeFalco and friends are an unbelievable talent to the world of Spider-Man. If you haven't been reading Spider-Girl and you like those older Spider-Man stories, I definitely recommend it.
And going on to DC news, Jeff Johns has stated that DC is currently shopping around a possible pilot featuring the Jaime Reyes version of Blue Beetle.
Yeah, there have actually been some screenshots posted online, some stills.
Yeah. And,
they're CGI tests.
You can tell it's early
samples.
CGI, but they better do something fast because it looks like a character from Big Bad Beetleborgs or Power Rangers.
I really like Jaime. I think he's really a good replacement for Ted Kord, and that's saying a lot because I love Ted Kord. Having said that, though, Cartoon Network is currently looking to produce a lot of live action series. So DC, you may want to shop around there. And then also coming from DC, this past week was E3. And they finally announced DC Online, November 2nd. That's when my girlfriend becomes a widow.
Yeah,
sorry.
about time.
A PlayStation 3 widow. Because I've been waiting for this forever. So November 2nd.
Yeah, it's really
DC
cool.
fans.
Yeah, Jim Lee worked on a lot of the designs.
It's amazing.
He said for a year and a half or more that his job one has been to make DC Online real. So
yeah, and then in other technical news, we have Boom Studios now doing an app of their comics for the iPod and the iPhone.
Yeah, but aren't they putting all their back issues on there?
Pretty much, yeah.
All of them, their whole backlist.
Irredeemable, Incorruptible, 28
it's
Days Later.
Pricey because it's $1.99 a piece, but it's still,
some of the examples, sorry, I'm slipping into old man mode, I can't read this.
You want me to hold it over here for you?
It says, 28 days later, Die Hard Year 1, Irredeemable and Incorruptible.
I think you took that hit to the head a little too much. And then finally,
whippersnapper.
In final news, the director of Anchorman and Step Brothers, of all things, has stepped up. I believe his name's Adam McKay, and decided to go, hey, I want to direct a boys movie based on Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson's The Boys.
It's naughty.
Boys.
Yeah, and it's
a very naughty comic book.
I liked Anchorman, but Step Brothers, you owe me some money for that one. And speaking of The Boys, Derek Robertson is like, hey, this is a monthly book. I am an artist that can't handle a monthly book. So now, for a little while, he's bowed out of doing the boys monthly. And Derek Robertson, I knew Jack Kirby, and you, sir, are apparently no Jack Kirby, because that man could draw like 50 books in a month, and you're only doing one, and you can't draw it. Look at Derek. I like you.
Yeah,
I
but
really
wait,
like
wait,
you.
wait.
He was working with Stan Lee.
Yeah, but in his defense, okay, Jack Kirby's style was much more stylistic. It was much more stylized, very fast drawing style. I mean, as somebody who used to be an animator, I can tell you that, Jack Kirby's style of drawing is very quick. Derek Robertson's is not so much.
Well,
so,
I like his. I do like
really
Derek's
nice.
art.
I mean, but he is slow, and I appreciate an artist that can stay on schedule too.
Doesn't matter to me. I don't read the boys.
And
Same here.
It's naughty, like I said. It's,
they're missing out
it
on a
borders
good
Back
on
in my
nasty.
day,
So you
comics
got
were
it's not
clean.
for kids, definitely.
No, not for kids at all.
Absolutely not.
Anyway.
Okay. So before we talk about Marvel's stuff this time, I think it bears mentioning. We got this out because John remembered something from way back when we were wee bairns.
Yeah, I would like to thank friends of mine up in Canada that sent this to me, because I have a letter to read.
Well, you're not going to read the whole thing. We're
I'm
just
not
going
reading the
to
whole
give the
thing.
gist.
But in regards to Marvel and DC going from $2.99 to $3.99 recently, like boom, without even thinking about it. Dear boys and girls, this is from DC in 1962, by the way. First, we'd like to thank you for having bought this DC magazine, even though it cost you 2 cents more than usual. This is when they went from 10 cents to 12 cents,
Right,
people.
and it broke my heart. Look. 12 cents.
12 cents. Unbelievable. So
That's how much I spent for
Back in
this.
my day, comic books were
So-
$1.25.
I wish I still had it.
it says, obviously,
Only 12 cents now.
I love this, by the way. Obviously, you like our magazine and consider our stories worth the extra 2 pennies. That makes us feel mighty proud. And then it mentions how times have changed. At one point, remember, hot dogs were also a nickel. Now they are at least a dime. 15 cents in most places. And then they stop to remind you, although some of our competitors are now charging 15 cents, that was a shot at Marvel back then, by the way, for the same size comic that we produce, we feel that 12 cents adequately
It's
covers
sufficient.
our rising production costs. So basically, they're tripping over themselves to apologize for raising the prices 2 cents.
Yeah, but you got to remember that was a 20% rise in price.
Yeah, and back then that was a lot.
20%
But
rise in price back then. So
Marvel
that
and
was a lot.
DC now raise the price $1 from $2.99 to
25%.
from $2.99 to $3.99. Don't give you an apology in their comic. And they
okay.
basically give you the finger, folks.
Well, Marvel has gone to $3.99, and
DC resisted it as long as
they did hold out as long
DC
as
has
they
said
could.
that they're still going to try to hold the Johnny DC line, which is the kids' comics,
That,
to $2.50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still a lot of their comics monthly stuff is still $2.99. So I don't know when the price hike is supposed to take effect. But fairness, okay?
Mm-hmm.
IDW has been putting out every single issue of the books that they've ever published, and they've now overtaken Dark Horse to become the number 3 publisher. Every single issue of any IDW comic book has always been $3.99. So it seems to me that the customer will pay for it and not be sad to pay for it as long as the book is good. If the product is good, they're okay with $3.99.
As long as there's demand, there's supply.
Here's the thing that I feel about that, what you just said. IDW's an independent. Marvel has the backing now of Disney, and
Pretty
DC
deep
has the
pockets.
backing of Warner
Time
Brothers.
Warner.
Since 1975.
And mostly that money all goes to licensing. I mean, they're paying for the licensing. We're paying for the comics,
Yep.
and it's on the backs of us.
Okay.
And I just have a problem with that.